other issue of clearly doing an audit of voter registration, which is really not an audit. It's really doing a new voter register. You audit, you remove those who are dead, you bring new ones. That is really having a new register. How long will that take? Cumulatively, those will take us to almost 10 months. That's why I'm just asking those in power, especially the president and the opposition chief, right, Odinga, to tell Kenyans the truth that this date of August is not workable. It's not feasible.
That is Nyamira Senator Mongare, who is talking about the timelines towards August 2017, saying we're not being told the truth. Tonight on Checkpoint, we have Honorable Peter Kaluma and we also have Honorable Moses Kuria. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
On Checkpoint. I'd like to start with you, Kuria. Your reactions to that. Are we not being told the truth? Where do you think we stand with the elections in August 2017?
The issue is told the truth by who? Because when we formed the Parliamentary Joint Select Committee, where I sat, it was the hope of Kenyans that this issue is not going to be a partisan issue anymore. And for me, it saddens me when I find now that we are not being told the truth. Jubilee is not doing this. You know, when these guys went to the streets, you know, we thought that was the end of that kind of, you know, partisanship. And all of us own this baby. So no one can say, I'm not being told the truth, because as it were, it's a parliamentary process. It is actually a Parliamentary Service Commission, which is the secretariat of the rest of the process. So we own all of it. So I think that, yes, there's much more that needs to come out, but I don't think it helps much to actually point fingers or try to apportion blame or even responsibility. It is a parliamentary process. It is a Jubilee parliament as much as it's a cold parliament. And I think that we are going to save this country much more stress and energy if we look at this from a bipartisan perspective.
In a post that you made on social media the other day, you talked about this being everybody's job, but then nobody's job.
Correct.
And you've lamented about how, you know, the process is being midwifed by essentially no one. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, you see, like now when we had the issue of negotiating with the outgoing commissioners, and the AG would say, I'm negotiating or I'm waiting for someone, somebody else, everybody was waiting for someone, and everybody was looking at the other person to do something. I do recall that in the committee, and actually it was captured in the report, after my recommendation, I said that our committee ought to have been given an extension of the mandate so that we can be able to keep on checking the timelines and checking the sanity of implementation of our own recommendation. Unfortunately, that did not happen by the time we went for recess, and we didn't even insist to be our committee. It could have been the JLAC, you know, the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, where my friend Peter Kaluma sits. Yes. But as it were now, you know, it's actually exactly what I put it. Yeah. Everybody's job becoming nobody's job. Right. And I still do hope that when we go back to Parliament, we are going to sort of create an oversight mechanism over the implementation of our own recommendation. Yeah. And because having such kind of a mechanism is going to, what is happening now is exactly what I had predicted then, where instead of oversighting the detail and checking from a professional timelines, yes, right. Are we on track, is everything right? Yeah. Then now, because nobody owns that, then this becomes a fodder for politicians to speak from the podiums. You've heard, you know, the Honorable Raila Odinga speak, Musalia Mudavadi spoke, the Senator of Nyamira has spoken. Who knows? But that's just not the way to do things.
Okay, all right. And you're smiling. Do you want to respond before
I'm smiling because Moses Kuria is responding to his own questions. You know, the question you asked, Yvonne, is whether the senator for Nyamira is speaking sense. And I think that is something we need to answer straight away. One, it is unfortunate he's making this mention. You know, there was a previous bill in Parliament to amend the Constitution to extend the date of elections from 8th of August next year. And of course, it was overwhelmingly supported by the Jubilee side. It was opposed largely by our side. Either way, that private member's bill fell. Yvonne, let me tell you, I'm the only member of Parliament in Kenya who has been fortunate to bring a bill before Parliament to amend the Constitution. Processing that bill to the time it begins debate in Parliament, if it were a private member's bill, I can tell you we'll take a whole year. So that I'm telling my brother, the senator for Nyamira, that what he's proposing is impossible. Number two, remember when you move the date for elections, you essentially extend also the term of office of the president. And that is not something you can do through an ordinary parliamentary legislative process. It goes to a referendum. You know what it would take with the constitution of the commission you are talking about, the funding issues, the processing of referenda questions, and all those issues as we move forward. So let me tell my brother that let us avoid this hangover, that the election date can move from 8th of August. The elections are set by the constitution. What we should be doing is to prepare for that electoral process. And if you are a member of parliament imagining you can get an extra term, remember, for purposes of law, our term as members of parliament, and Moses Kuria will tell you, is until the next general election. So nobody says we serve for 5 years.
All right.
We can even serve for a year.
Okay.
And there is a general election.
But yet, the Nyamira senator, as well as the CEO of IEBC, are talking about the constraints of the timeline. And Raila Odinga is on record as saying Jubilee is delaying the process of getting new commissioners.
Yes, Yvonne, this is about the lawmaking process in parliament.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to say that, let me start by commending, Brother Kuria and his team for doing some substantial work in terms of processing the country for elections within the context of the joint, parliamentary select committee on matters, IEBC and related matters, which gave us recommendations. Remember, they had only 30 days. And there is a good reason as to why we gave them only 30 days. They had very weighty issues. I can tell you, Yvonne and Moses will confirm, I'm the only member of parliament who appeared before this committee as an expert on matters, democracy and elections, and made presentations there. They were highly constrained. These gentlemen worked, and ladies, of course, worked up to the night. In terms of the bill, you remember when it came to parliament, there was a signal being sent by the leaders of the majority and the leaders of the minority, by, of course, the president of the country and the leaders of the opposition, that we don't want any alteration. I can tell you, looking at the bill which came from the Joint Select Committee as a lawyer, there were so many things that we would have amended.